Right, welcome back. I've had myself a refresher of this project in the meantime, and it turns out that I'm wrong when I say that we should be able to delete comments well, we can post comments obviously, but that's done through a different way than the API really. It's done through the API, but it's not to a specific endpoint. Getting comments into the comment section is as easy as just pushing stuff to an array. That's why we have an array. We won't actually use any endpoint to updating and deleting comments in this project. We will do that in another project though, but not this one. What we will do in this part is that we will actually be able to get a single book, and we will be able to post here. We will be able to post a comment, and that's technically not done through the API endpoint. It is, but not in the way we're adding books, because we're just doing it by pushing something to the array. That means that we can't actually delete anything from the comments unless we go into the database. So if we have a look here at like that one, maybe no, that one. If I want to delete a comment here, I actually need to go in and edit this and delete this physically by pressing there, which I'm not going to do, but that's how this is going to work. And you could do that better, but that's not part of the project. What we want to do is actually to, here in the get part, we want to be able to get a book, and then we get a single book with the stuff that belongs to it, pretty much. And if we post a comment to a specific book. So essentially this part is what's being fulfilled there. And if we do well, this is the get part as well, but here we post a title and we get something back. So if I go for test book here, nothing should happen. Okay, something happens. That's weird. Why is that? Huh. Okay. That is weird. Why? Anyway, and if we go to delete here, I should be able to delete a specific book by adding the ID to it, to the request. So in the get part here, we'll just start with getting a connection up. So Mongo client.connect. And as usual, we just go for the process.env.mongo URI. And you will use that. And we'll use this. And if we have an error, we want to handle that. If we don't have an error, we'll have a client to work with. So if we have an error, we console error that error. And if we don't, we create a constant called collection, where we use client.db personal library with a collection of books, like so. And here we can actually use the count documents function. So collection.countDocuments, and then we just find out how many documents there are with. You could actually use the find function, but I prefer the count document function. And here we just see if there are any results. And if there are no results, then the book doesn't exist, presumably. So we search for an ID with the object ID of rick.params.id, and then we'll handle any errors, possibly. And so we just go for if error, then we say that we have, let's go console log error. We shouldn't get an error here. But we have an else if. If data is less than 1, then the book doesn't exist. So we just go for rest.send. I think we have one. Yeah. We need to use that message specifically. So lowercase letters, no book exists. And then we go for an else here, and if the book exists, then we can actually go for a find one, collection.find one, with an ID of object ID of rect.params.id. And here we also want to have some error handling. So if error, we do console. Did I log that? Let's change that to error. I'm trying to get better at that. So console error, and we'll do an error when retrieving. Whatever. And then we post error. So, and else we just go for a rest.json data. So that should be the GET request, and we should be able to try that by using the ID. So if we go to, we can actually click any of these books. So we do that. We should be able to go to the endpoint. Let me actually restart this. Let's do that. So if we go to the endpoint API/books, and then add a question mark and underscore ID equals this, hopefully. So, nope. Then I got all of them, and that's not what I want. Don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. What's it actually supposed to be? Oh. Right, this stuff we can actually get rid of. That's coming from a little console log that I have up here that we really don't need, so we can comment that out. That's just to be able to look at the client, but we don't actually need to do that. So if we have a look at this, what should we be able to do? We should be able to go to API books and test post. There we go. So if we go here, we should be able to just post the ID of a book that we can get from down here. Let's press any book and you'll get that. And we should also be able to delete a specific book if we go here, which I don't think we can do. No. What if we get an error? Oh, nothing actually happened. And this is done through the Ajax call, so the Ajax call is not actually doing anything here because we're not passing in the ID when we press this button. Should be a no, I can't do that either. The next part is obviously to be able to add a comment here, and the part after that is going to be deleting the book. So if we go down to post here, we can remove that, don't need that. And then we just go for a Mongo client.connect. I'm actually going to be a bit lazy and do this on the last two because I feel I've written this a few times. So I'm just going to prepare that. So, and we just connect to it, and if we get an error, we handle that error. If we don't get an error, we create a, I'm actually going to copy that as well. So this is all generic. You do that all the time. So what now? Yeah, if we go here, this is actually not a proper post request, or it won't be, because the comments are already on the books, right? So we don't actually need to add a comment to the database. What we actually need to do is update that comments array on a specific book, which essentially means that we're making a put request, an update, which we can't do either because we're not updating the book itself, we're updating an array on the book. So in MongoDB, there is a function called find one and update, which we can use. And we want to find one that has the ID of object ID rick.params.id, which is the ID we're sending in through the URL. And here then we'll actually go to a new row here. Let's do this. So in here we can write $push, and then we can write comments. And what we're doing then is that we're pushing something, that's actually a push function, to the specific part of the database. So one of these three, to the ID, the title, or the comments. And it's difficult to push something to a string or an ID. So we're pushing to comments, which is an array. And what we want to push there is rick.body.comment, which is what we're getting from this. And we know that because if we go to this one, we have a something. Yeah, here we have, and this one is actually named comment, which is why we can use it. Anyway, so we will update the comments with that comment. So we're adding that. Again, we can't delete it. We cannot update it unless we go into the database and do it, which is a bit bad, but that's how it is. And then we'll go for return original false, because we don't want to return the original, we want to return the new one. And then we go for error and data. And if we don't have either, then that's good. But if we do have an error, then we just want to go ahead and console error, and we can actually add a little bit of a failed to update comment field here, so we know what's going on. And if we don't get there, we just go for result.json of data.value, which is what you, with this you get back data, but we don't actually want all data, we want the value part of it. So data is out more. And I know that because I've done this, but if you haven't done this, then just go ahead and have a look at what data actually is. It's a larger object. So with this, we should be able to post comments. So let's restart the application. Okay. Where are we missing a? Let's see. We have that. Oh, yeah. We're probably missing that. So no, even more. Maybe like so then. Well, let's go in there. We are not missing that one. No, don't want to do that. This is the issue with copy pasting. You need to remember all the parentheses. Let's see, what do we have? We have that one, so everything there is okay. Do we have everything there? Yes, no. That one is purple, that's good. That one is yellow, this is going there. We do that one. And then we have this. Okay. Oh yeah, that's why. We're obviously missing these. So, let's try this again. And reload that. And then we can add a comment here. So test comment. Yeah, really good. And we can see that it's added as the first part of the array. So that's good. You can see here that there is a sort of issue with this. And this is not actually from our code, it's from the FreeCodeCamp code. But if you don't have anything checking this specifically, you get undefined comments, which is a bit weird. I think that we can have a look at that even. That should be in, let's see, it should be in the client part. I think, at least. Have a little bit of search. This is not very important. I just want to see here. It should be here, I think. It's somewhere in here at least, where you could change that. I'm not too fussed about it right now. What I do want to do, however, is be able to delete any of these books. So let's do that. So we have this delete part here. We have the error handling, and we should also be able to go ahead and do that. So, that's one human there. So if we want to delete a book, then that's quite simple, because we have already added a book, so we can just delete that. And if we go for a collection, not delete one, just like there's an insert one, we can delete one, and we want to delete a specific one. So ID of object ID of rect.params.id, and we'll do some error handling to that. So if we have an error, we just console.error that error, like so. And actually we can actually do with this error on deletion, like so is better. So if we don't have that, we just do a rest.send delete successful, and we actually need to have this specific message here because it says so in the description here. No, then not that one, this one. But this is actually all the code we need to delete something, so that's quite simple. Deleting is always easy, and because of that, we don't actually need this data here. We don't need to use that. We could, if we want to, we could actually say that we deleted a specific object, but we don't have to do that here. We just need to say that we deleted the book, and that's enough. So let's restart this, and let's go to our application. Let's reboot that, and then we go to that one, and we delete this. And it says delete successful. So we'll refresh the page and see if it worked. And it seems to have worked. Very good. And that's it for this part. So at this point, we have actually a fully working application here. We have some stuff that could be improved, like styling, because this looks awful. And like this part, where we have undefined comments, which is just weird that we have. it's not weird if you look at something like this, because this one doesn't actually have any comments. So there we could change it to say something like no comments or so. But on a book like this, for instance, we should, like that, we should say that we have 11 comments, obviously. But I'm not going to focus on that here. But with that said, I would suggest that you do, because I did when I did this project, and it makes you understand the Ajax a little bit better and what's happening, because you actually need to look through the code and see where stuff is doing stuff, so to speak. Anyway, that's enough for this part. So in the next part, we'll have a look at the tests for this. We will have 6 functional tests that should be complete and passing, obviously. See you then.